Okay, welcome to the Kickass Midlife Method podcast. I'm Rachael Woolston. I'm joined by some of the girls and women on the Kickass community. Tonight's podcast is about refocusing and clarifying your goals and setting boundaries for a healthier you. So we're going to kind of go through the power of why it's really important to refocus on your goals, clarifying those goals, and how you go about setting healthy boundaries for sustainable, healthy well-being. So I wanted to open this up to people who are live listening about why do you think you find it tough to create a habit for something that you want to achieve or love to do? So any answers in the chat box. I have many women who have joined a free challenge with me recently and also have joined my coaching, and many of the reasons they'll give for their goals are around weight loss. It can be around wanting to refine their energy and their mojo, losing motivation, wanting to just generally feel better. So what is it? We all start off with these really good intentions. We're going to follow a plan. We're going to stick to it. And then often after a week or 2 weeks, those habits and those intentions start to slide. So what is it that you think for you that creates the barriers for creating competing priorities yet? Time management, time is a big one yet. Anything else? Everything else before myself, yeah. That's a really, really common one, definitely, that everybody has. Okay. Oh, sped through. So actually, other than those things, it tends to be, I've now been coaching women for over 14 years, 2 years online. And what often comes across is actually, if you get your goal right and your focus, then actually a lot of those other things, talking about competing time, priorities, all of that time, often that falls into place. If you're really clear on your goal, then it helps to get over your lack of direction. Sometimes if you're feeling like, oh well, I kind of want this, but I'm not quite sure my specific goal, that feeling of being overwhelmed, and that it becomes also really easy to allow unhealthy behaviors to crowd in again if you're not very clear on your goals and haven't set boundaries around it. And therefore you often can feel like you have no motivation because you're not really sure what it is that you want to do. And there's so many other things going on in your life that it's really easy to be like, oh, I'm totally unmotivated because I don't really know what it is I want to achieve. Mindful as well. Yes, to feeling overwhelmed, feeling tired and fed up. Yeah, that's really common, really common. So the important thing is to focus on the why. If you know the why, then the how to do it often takes care of itself. So this is the strategy of clarity. So clarifying your goals helps you therefore create the boundaries and helps you to prioritize you. So clarifying your goals, to recap, helps you refocus on what's important to you. So often, like in the overwhelm of stuff, we just don't have time to sit down and think, actually, what do I want next? What is competing on my time? Am I just being really overwhelmed because I'm trying to just do this stuff that's coming at me rather than thinking about actually, what do I want to do? What's important, and creating boundaries around there. And then if you've got that clarification on your goals, you've got that kind of boundaries, then you always have that kind of perspective, because you will always have competing priorities. I don't know how many people, for instance, have said, I'm going to start this. I've had a couple of people join the free challenge and said, oh, actually, I don't think now's a good time. I'm really busy. You will always be busy. You will always have competing priorities, no matter what. And actually, it's about doing stuff in that moment consistently. But if you know what your boundaries are and what your goals are, then it's easier to do that and make sure you maintain your perspective and are able, therefore, to be like, no, I'm not doing this other thing that's crowding out the things that are important to me. So, right, now over to you. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes. So what I want you to do is on your piece of paper, I want you to draw circles of what is your life looks like now. How, and the size of the circle dictates, for instance, how much that time is being taken up by that at the moment. So these are just examples. So you can add more circles if there's something else, less circles if there's not. I would have thought most of you have got more circles than this, but draw your circles. I'll give you 5 minutes. Ask me any questions if you want. Feel free to come on and unmute as well if you have something you would rather ask on the audio rather than the chat box if you're struggling with the chat box. But I'm going to set my timer now. So just give yourself 5 minutes. Once you're finished, just put F in the chat box to say you're finished. And I will do it with you whilst we've got this 5 minutes. Because as with these things are always worth, obviously your priorities, what you want to do changes. So it's really important to redo these. So I would also suggest that you keep this and the one we're going to do after this. So some of the people on this call may have done this about 4 or 5 weeks ago with me. If you've done that, it'd be really interesting for you to look back on the one you've done already. Right, I'll shut up talking whilst I give you time to think about those circles. Some of you have finished already. Just have a look, make sure you've got things like, for instance, money, finances could be one that's maybe in there, how much time that's taking up. Travel, holiday, leisure, anything like that. Anything at all. So sometimes another aspect of this is you can have pens as like coloring pens. So if a certain color means something to you, then you can also color these in, for instance. Or have a handy little thing like Canva, which I'm using, and they do it all for you. Okay, so if you've not finished, just carry on whilst you're listening. Does anyone here like to either share, come on audio, or share in the box about anything that came up for them that maybe surprised them? So either in the chat box, say, stick your hand up, say you're free to chat, or just put it in the chat box. Anything at all that kind of surprised you that you thought is really like small, for instance, either really small. I suspect lots of you, how many of you say yes in the chat, have work is the biggest circle. Is work your biggest circle, or is it something else? Work is the biggest. Yeah. Anyone else who wants to come? Yeah, everyone's got work. Yeah. So it sounds like health is the biggest. Well, that's great. You've been doing my coaching with me for a while, so that's great. Glad to hear it. Childcare, biggest for Kate, still quite young, yeah. Relationship, very small, yeah, I hear that. Three biggest are between work, elderly parents, yeah, also another thing in midlife, and granddaughter. Family and friends, yeah, it's nice and healthy, Brenda, for that. Work followed by children, relationship near the bottom. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so now what I want you to do is get your another piece of paper, and I want you to draw redo it, drawing it how you'd love it to be. Right. So dream world, no barriers. So don't think, oh, well, I'd like this, but that's unrealistic. I couldn't have the money. I want you to just redraw your circles of priorities according to exactly how, in an ideal world, you'd like them to be. So you were all pretty quick last time. So I'm going to give you 3 minutes to do this. Maybe after doing the last one, you've suddenly realized there's a big circle of something that you would like to have that you've not got in there at the moment. I did this about 8 or 10 years ago with someone when I had, for instance, was kind of 2 or 3 years into my first business. It was taking up like all the time, like everything, consumed everything. I was probably getting up from about 5 in the morning and working till about 11 o'clock at night, and just constant cycle like that. And so work was pretty much everywhere. There was pretty much no travel. My relationships were non-existent. So like maybe a little spot, it wasn't even a circle. Travel was minuscule. Learning stuff was there because I was learning a lot in my business. And so it did give me a real insight into the priorities and how much I wanted to change. So really go for it in these kind of like circles of how you'd love your life to be like. What would be the most important thing? How much, do you want to create space in your life for other things? So just got 90 seconds left to do that. Again, if you've finished, just give me a F in the chat box. So Brenda, dream to have holidays, learn more things. So time for learning, time for more leisure, more self-care, and more self-care and more time. So again, that kind of learn more things, time to read, I suppose, is again about learning, expanding your brain, your horizons through that. Time to look after your appearance, definitely self-care. I've got that down for mine as well, actually. Health and family time from Dawn. Anybody want to come on and share at all, to talk to me? Health at the top. Can't do any of the others without it. It's true, but Mary, is that something that you've thought about? The purpose of this exercise is to be not kind of, structuring it. It literally is to just be completely free flowing with it. So is health really, what is health? What is health to you? Is health like, so you want to spend more time on exercise? Is it around you want to spend more time on your diet? Health is also about learning. So kind of be a bit more specific than health is like quite a big thing that covers lots of different things. So maybe have a look again at that. So if you all put in the chat box now, what is now your biggest circle, your number one circle? So I think there's 9 of you here. So one thing only, creativity. So health, mind, and body. It's got to be like something specific. So health, mind, and body. Is that your fitness? Is it your diet? Or diet and fitness can be together, actually. So give me one thing. So fitness and nutrition. Rebecca, time for me. Time for what? Exercising, fitness and nutrition. So Mandy, I think probably yours is travel and learning, because if you have the travel and learning, probably your energy levels and your sleep would come with that. Sarah, more time for creativity. Anyone else? They've got one, one, two, three, four. Anyone else? Five, creativity. What's your biggest? And now, okay, this one will be easier then. What is your smallest circle? And how does that compare to, yeah, work, cleaning, smaller circle, work? Anyone else? There's only three. Divorce. Mental load, yeah, budgeting, yeah. So life admin, work, work, work. So all the work is the taking up lots of space. That, obviously work's important, but if it can't becomes all engrossing, trying to make my circle of social media smaller, yeah. Um, Work is important, but if it takes over everything, then it becomes really overwhelming. It becomes something that is not enjoyable or not enriching your life in any way. So I have, how many times, I wonder, put a yes in the chat box if this is you. How many times have you sat in front of your laptop at work or in the office and missed a meal because you were just or delayed your lunch until you were absolutely starving because you're like, I've just got to finish this one thing. Yes. And how many of you have thought I'm going to do my exercise. You missed the morning exercise because you're tired. So therefore you're like, I'm going to do it at lunchtime. I'm going to do it after work. And then you've missed it because you've gone, I've just got to finish this work project. And then you just missed it again because you've just thought, oh, I'm too tired now, and I've just finished this, and I'll definitely do it. I'll definitely do it the next day, but I'm really tired now, and actually, yeah, I'm not going to do it now. And work again has taken over those things that are important to you. So again, I'm talking about fitness and exercise here, but for some of you, it's relationships. For some of you, it's about your creativity. You want to do more creative stuff. And in that time, that work has kind of really taken over. So try and keep these circles that you've done and remind yourself of like what it is now, where you want to get to, and then think about what about that every time you're thinking about, oh, work gets in the way. So the importance of setting boundaries, obviously, you now know that actually where your boundaries are now, they're like work's just covered your boundaries and it's like impeding all of your boundaries. So the importance of setting boundaries are obviously it protects your energy, your time and your mental health, prevents your burnout and overwhelm, and in turn, then that's going to help you embrace this next chapter in your midlife. So setting boundaries is an act of self-care, not selfishness. There's a lot of, particularly around women, men don't seem to have this problem when I train men about taking time out for exercise, taking that time, spending that money. It's the ultimate self-care. If you're not healthy and happy, then no one else can be around you either. So reframing helps you stay in control, creates the time and the energy for personal growth. So yeah, keep your diagrams, revisit them in 8 to 12 weeks, and keep reminding yourself of your goals and kind of what's important. So is there any questions around this? Or if there's any also questions about any of the programs that you're on, your coaching that you're on at the moment, or with you're on one of the free challenges or any of the programs, you can ask me anything now, either come on live. This bit won't be recorded. I'll edit this bit out or ask in the chat box. No? Anyone? I've certainly had a lot of questions in the free challenge. What's the most important practice to maintain? In terms of what, Lydia? In terms of your habits around nutrition, your habits around fitness?
Yeah, I know you just said there about kind of creating boundaries and making sure you stick to them. If you were going to say, look, if there's only one thing you could do, Lydia, you've got to kind of chip away and create the kind of habits and the lifestyle you need, what would be the easiest one to start with, but the one that if you can do it and it sticks, it just has the most benefit for you as an individual on a journey?
Well, it really depends what your boundary is. What is it that is really important? What is your why? If it is weight loss, for instance, what is it? Why is it that you want to lose that weight? How will it make you feel? How is it going to change your life? And actually, then, if you're really clear on that, then actually maintaining the behavior to create the healthy habits is easy or easier. So actually, it's not really about the how, it's about the why. And if you're really clear on that, and obviously keep reminding yourself of it because we're all really busy with life, and that's unfortunately what happens with kids and work. Slowly we forget what the goal is, and we just get on this treadmill again of like just doing the stuff that's battering us from all sides, and then we forget the why and what it is that we want to do, and therefore it's really easy for the habits to go. So I would say come back to the foundations of your why, and then I think the habits are a lot easier to maintain. But the most important thing is just the consistency.
Yeah.
So whatever it is, it's about thinking that if you go off the rails with whatever it is, maybe say like going to Sarah, she was talking about, I want to be more creative. Maybe you go off the rails and suddenly work's just swamped everything again, and all you're doing is like stuff that's not very creative. It's just about consistently, and like, it might be the diet, and like you want to lose weight, but and you're good for a while and then you just go off the rails. It's actually about the consistency of coming back. And you've heard it, I'm sure, a million times, but the people that are most successful with me are the people that are most consistent. It's not about, okay, having a weekend and then just blowing it and thinking, I just give up. Like consistently building the blocks. You know, you are obviously going to have better results if, when we're talking about diet and exercise, if you don't have 4 days off at the weekend. But it's about actually not giving up and creating the mindset around consistency. And once you've got that mindset and are like, okay, I haven't done great now, I'm just going to go back to it. Then bit by bit, then the consistency builds. And then once you've got the consistency, then you start seeing the real change in whatever it is. Cool. Anyone else? No? Okay. Well, thanks for joining me. I hope that was helpful. Do keep hold of those diagrams. I kept mine for quite a long time, and it was quite a shock when I looked back on the first one I did, just how out of sync and out of balance my life was. And now looking at it, how that has changed. And that really did come from that awareness of being like, oh my God, what's kind of, swamping my life, and creating boundaries around those things were important, and learning to say no to those things that don't serve the ultimate goal that you're trying to get to.